Welcome on in. Today, I'll be talking about the brand new supernatural horror film, Talk to Me, which I just saw opening night last night. This movie is directed by two twin brothers who actually got their start on YouTube, which is pretty damn cool. We're kind of seeing that a lot nowadays. Those barriers, those old kind of barriers to entry into the film industry being kind of broken down, with different ways to make movies. So it's pretty damn cool seeing a lot of that these days. This movie debuted, it had its world premiere at the Sundance Film Festival this year. And then after that, it was so well received that there was kind of a bidding war going on between Universal and A24. A24 eventually won the rights to the movie. The movie was mostly, actually completely filmed in South Australia. And now I'm going to run down just kind of a basic, like spoiler-free, as much as I can, plot synopsis for you guys really quick. So essentially, we've got this group of friends, even though some of them kind of seem like they hate each other, to be honest. But anyways, they discover how to conjure spirits using this embalmed hand. They're immediately hooked with this feeling of what it can do, almost like a new drug. But like you could probably guess, things eventually go a little bit too far. Now, first, I want to talk about some things I think the movie did well. So let's start with the intro to the movie, which in my opinion hooks you in right away. You're kind of just wondering, like, what the hell is going on? Why is this person doing what they just did at this party? Like, what is happening? I'm curious, like, what is the reason behind all of this? And I want to find out what's going to happen and just why this person did what they did. So I think it's a good introduction to the movie and definitely hooks you in and, keeps you wanting more. The next positive for me is if you're in the mood to watch a movie that's going to kind of creep you out, scare you, and just kind of fuck with you, this movie definitely does a good job of that. There are definitely quite a few pretty damn scary moments throughout the entire movie. Also, early on in the movie does do a good job blending kind of those bleak and more like kind of sad tones with like more uplifting moments in the movie. You've got quite a few moments where some of the characters are kind of bonding together. You're seeing some of their relationships. They're blending in some music, some fun times, some jokes. So it does a good job of that in the early parts of the movie. In the first half of the movie, kind of blending that. Because if you just start off and it's just like dark and bleak and just like, holy shit, what's going on here? Like, this is heavy throughout the entire movie. It sometimes can be a little bit too much. You really have to be in kind of the mood for that. But I think especially in the first half of the movie, they set up the movie in a good blend of all those different things. Now, I just talked about the first half of the movie. The movie also does a really good job in the second half of the movie, just not keeping things exactly the same. In the first half of the movie, like I mentioned, we've got a good blend of a lot of different things. But kind of halfway through the movie's like, all right, here we go. This is going to be a lot different. You better buckle up. And things kind of get crazy from kind of the middle of the movie on. And I really like that kind of build. Whereas in the middle, it's kind of just building the story, leaving you little bits of information here and there, and something's coming. And then the second half of the movie, it just kind of like takes off. And I think that's a really good aspect of the movie. Another positive for me is the movie does a really good job leaving little breadcrumbs about our main character, Mia, kind of her backstory, what's going on with her family and other things like that. Just little bits along the way. They don't give you too much too early. And it keeps you wanting more. It keeps you wanting to kind of peel back that onion throughout the movie. And they do a really good job of not revealing too much until, honestly, like the very end of the movie. Just a little bit here and there. And it just keeps you wanting more. It doesn't, it makes sure you're not bored. And it just does a really good job of giving you little payoffs about that character and her backstory and what's going on with her throughout the movie, up until the very end. Another positive I have to mention is the practical effects. The makeup effects in the movie are slimy, creepy, and just like, at times you're just kind of like, oh my God, Jesus, like, look at this. This is creepy as hell. This is disgusting. And whoever was in charge of that, just the team in charge of kind of the makeup effects and practical effects and pulling that off, bravo to you guys, because you did a pretty damn good job. I was definitely impressed and I enjoyed it. And I think the movie was pretty much all practical for the most part. There might have been some stuff thrown in here and there. And you never know with CGI, there could be some background stuff and certain scenes that are kind of thrown in. But the movie looked like it was pretty much all practical, which was amazing. And that's definitely a positive for me. Now, another positive for me, and early on in the movie, I wasn't so sure this would be a positive, but it's the mom. I think she was a really good blend of like that badass mom that, the dad's not really around, or we don't really see the dad. They're divorced, but she's just a good blend of kind of being a badass mom, but also like cool at times, kind of balancing that kind of blend. You know, there's a moment where she lets the kids sneak out, but she's also kind of a hard ass at times. Obviously, she's going through some stuff in her personal life, but I like the mom's character towards the end of the movie. In the first half of the movie, I was kind of like, she's kind of annoying, but she had a good blend of kind of being a badass, but also a cool mom at the same time. But I mean, obviously, she was in a tough spot. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. I also have to mention, literally every single time there was a scene with the hand, it was intense. Like, it had me on the edge of my seat, wondering what was going to happen, if something bad or good was going to happen, what was going to come next. It definitely felt like something was building with this, and I was hoping we were going to find, you know, like, get little breadcrumbs on the backstory of this thing. I kept wanting to see more every single time the hand was used. Also, just the fact that you have a prop like this in the movie that's such a big part of the movie is a positive to me. It kind of gives you kind of an iconic thing to always remember about that movie. You might not remember the characters' names, you might not remember some of the characters or even their faces or you know, just things about them, but you're definitely going to remember this hand. It's kind of this embalmed hand with writing all over it, almost like little, like small graffiti, like a cast. You know how like in junior high school, people like write on your cast. It almost seems like that in a way, but you've got this iconic hand that's just kind of the centerpiece of this movie. But like I mentioned, really any scene with this hand and then things that happened involving that hand always had me on the edge of my seat and was definitely a positive in the movie for me. Another positive for me is it's a very believable story to me. And I'm not necessarily talking about the supernatural aspect of the story. Whether you believe in that kind of stuff or you don't believe in that kind of stuff, we're going to put that to the side. But just the fact that you have these teens that find this new kind of thrill and everybody's really excited about it. They want to keep using it and using it and using it and testing it out and just kind of getting a new thrill is very, very believable. And maybe that's because the directors are very young. They can kind of understand this generation and what kind of kids are into. I'm sure they got inspiration from just being at parties and people are just doing weird shit. You know, some kid found some new thing that you can get kind of high off of or whatever, so people want to try it too. It's a very believable thing and very real for, you know, high school kids. Most of the characters in this movie are like 17, so that aspect of the movie is just very believable to me, and I think they did a very good job with that. You know, kind of, it's almost like a new drug that these kids have discovered, and they're just like, this is cool, holy shit, let's keep trying this and keep trying this and keep trying it. So I thought that aspect of the movie was done very, very well. I also just talked about the hand for a second, but the hand is just a very, very interesting part of the story. I found myself more interested in the hand throughout the movie than I probably was in kind of most of the other aspects of the story. I just really wanted to know, like, what's the backstory of this hand? What's inside of the hand? What does it really do? Who's involved? How did this start? You could make an entire damn movie just based off of this hand. And that's a really cool and interesting aspect of a movie when you have something that's so small and simple that just sits there, that's so interesting and has probably some crazy ass backstory to it. So I thought that was a very good part of the movie and something that definitely kept me intrigued because I just wanted to find out what the hell is this thing. Another positive for me is really just all of the sequences that were kind of outside of reality. I don't know if I necessarily want to say that they were like dream sequences, but you know what I'm talking about if you've seen the movie, but anything that's just kind of like outside of reality or a little bit more supernatural where the scene is just kind of a supernatural type of a scene and there's certain things happening in that scene. They do a really good job with just the kind of, I guess you could say, the cinematography of how it's shot, how creepy it is, the lighting in those scenes, the other, you know, practical and makeup effects. Just a really, really damn good job with those kind of supernatural, I guess you could say, dream sequences, even though they're not really dream sequences, but you know what I'm talking about. Last positive I want to mention is, holy shit, that ending, man. That ending, I almost cannot think of a better ending to this movie than that ending. I don't think I would feel the way I feel about this movie without that good of an ending. That ending was so damn good. And like I said, I don't know if I can think of another like perfect way to end this movie than the way that they ended this movie. Such a damn good ending. Whoever came up with that ending, bravo. So good. So good. Now to talk about the mixed for me, one mixed thing that I want to mention about this movie is you have to be in a certain mood, in my opinion, to watch this type of a movie. It's mostly kind of depressing and dark and bleak. and it's kind of, that psychological horror type movie. I don't really see myself going back and watching this movie every year or something like that. But that's just my personal preference. You might be totally different, but just the type of horror movies that I go back and rewatch on a regular basis aren't really this type of a movie. This movie does have some rewatchability to me, but the rewatchability overall of this movie is a little bit mixed to me. So I'm just going to kind of put that in the mixed category. It's just a personal preference, not necessarily a good or a bad, but just kind of mixed for me. Now, to talk about the bad here for a second. Now, the actress Sophie Wilde that played Mia, kind of the main character in the story, did a really, really good job acting in her role and just kind of portraying that role. But I thought her character throughout the movie was pretty annoying. She was also a really, really bad friend. Like, what are you doing? Why are you inviting your best friend who is currently very, very pissed at you, her boyfriend or the guy that she's dating, over to your house to sleep? Like, we know your intentions are good. You're not planning on doing anything with the guy, but that is such a fucking bad idea. What are you doing? Also, why are you sniffing the guy's leg? Like, what's going on there? I don't know what's going on there, but kind of reminds me of people that I know. I know people like this that just, like, in college, they would make decisions like that with no intention to do anything bad, but we're like, what, how do you not know that the other person's going to be so pissed? You're being such a bad friend right now. Just learn how to be a good friend. This is kind of just a nitpick and a small thing, but also kind of pissed me off how Mia kept ignoring her dad's phone calls. Like, her dad's clearly going through some shit. I know you are too, but come on, just answer the guy's calls. But overall, her character in the second half of the movie and kind of the middle of the movie did have some redeeming qualities about her character when she was trying to help with things and really, like, put herself out there to kind of help with things. But overall, it's got to fit into the bad category for me, Mia's character. Just overall, like I said, not how the actress portrayed the character. I thought she did a really, really good job playing the character, but just the way her character was written was kind of annoying to me. Didn't really love it. Bad friend, etc., etc. Oh, hey, another bad, technically for me, this might be a big positive for you, but like, if you're really into feet or something like that, or specifically sucking toes, then you're probably really going to love a certain part in this movie. Yeah, you probably will. I'm going to put it as a bad for me, though. Sorry. I think feet are kind of nasty, but for you, it might be a little different. Okay. Just wanted to throw that out there. All right, now for a second, I'm going to talk about a couple spoilers. It's not going to be a ton, but a couple spoilers really, really quick. So if you have not seen the movie, please click off the damn video or skip to my final thoughts. But yeah, click off the video. Come on. I'm giving you time. You can do it. You're good. All right, you already did it. Good. This is kind of a positive spoiler for me, but holy shit, that entire sequence where the little brother is bashing in his own skull and like messing with his eye and stuff like that. The whole movie up until that point was kind of just like bleak and kind of creepy and scary and a little bit intense at times, like when they, were holding the hand and kind of saying, talk to me and that kind of stuff. But holy shit, they just like threw you right in when the brother started to try to kill himself by bashing his skull in. Like, that whole sequence was like, damn, I found myself like, oh, Jesus. Oh, like, what the fuck? Like, this is way intense. So that whole sequence was definitely a positive for me. They did a really good job with the practical effects in that scene. And just overall, that was like definitely a holy shit part of the movie. Another thing I have to mention, I'm going to talk about specifics here, so it is a spoiler, but when Mia, after she stabs her dad and she's standing over, I think his name's Riley, the little brother, but she's standing over him in the hospital and she's really thinking about stabbing him. I don't really understand like where her head is at in that part of the movie. Like, okay, there was a really good sleight of hand there with her dad and that's how he ended up getting stabbed. Like, I get that part. But when she's standing over the little brother and she's about to stab him, like, she knows the little brother is there. But I guess maybe she's too far gone at that point, so she really does think that it's some demon laying there instead of the brother, or maybe she kills the demon and that will maybe release the brother or something like that. I don't really understand fully what's going on in her head, because it seems like it happens, like she seemed kind of there when her dad comes into the room and she accidentally stabs her dad. You know what I mean? She's just seeing things, but herself, she's reacting to the things that she's seen pretty well. But when she's standing over the little brother, it just seems like she's fucking lost at that point. And it's only been maybe a handful of hours. I don't know. But I mean, I know a lot of crazy stuff's going on in her life and whatnot. But that whole moment, I was kind of like, what's going on here? I don't really know. Also, okay, let's talk about the ending in more specific terms. Okay, so at the very end, it shows her holding the hand of somebody, probably from far away. I don't know what kind of dialect they were speaking, but it was like the same thing they were doing. It was like a group of kids or young people like trying to get a thrill off of this creepy ass hand that lets you like talk to demonic creatures essentially. So is her spirit now in the hand, or was she physically in the room with those people? She's now kind of like the puppet for this demon. I don't know. I'm assuming her spirit is like in that hand now. So whoever's spirit was in the hand before, are they now released? What's going on with that? You know, I'm very, very interested in that. I loved the ending though. Like I said, it's ambiguous. It's creepy. It's kind of a holy shit, like mind fucking kind of a moment, which is awesome. Really, really love that. But I'm curious, like, what your theories are on that whole ending sequence. The one that makes the most sense to me is that her kind of spirit is now inside of the hand. That's what's going on. I wonder though if she's still alive in real life. Damn, it is kind of a mindfuck, isn't it? Because if she's still alive in real life, every time somebody shakes the hand and says, talk to me, and lights the candle and all that, she gets sucked into the hand and into their world, maybe. It's kind of crazy. But how did those people get the hand? Those new people that we saw at the very end, how did they get the hand? I guess somebody else passed it along to them. Why is nobody destroying this hand? You've seen all the bad shit that's happened. Maybe it's undestroyable. It's the strongest embalming fluid in the history of mankind. But anyways, I think that's the end of the spoiler talk here. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Now I'm going to give you my final thoughts. Overall, I really enjoyed the movie. If you're in the mood for this type of a psychological, like supernatural thriller horror movie, definitely go and watch. I think this movie is actually really, really good in a group setting because the whole movie is kind of a group movie. It's a group like kind of, you know, trying to defeat this thing. It's a whole group kind of experiencing this thing together. This movie's very much about like friendship and togetherness and all those kind of things. So if you go and see this movie as a group, I think that would be a really good idea. But overall, like I said, I enjoyed the movie. It's one of the better like kind of mind messing kind of psychological thriller horror movies that I've seen in a while. I definitely think you should go and watch it. I kind of wish this movie would have came out a little bit closer to October. I know there's a lot of horror movies that are already going to be coming out end of September and October, but this movie would be a really good October movie to watch. So if you don't get to your theater to go and watch it, I would definitely go and watch it, you know, whenever it comes to streaming in October, something like that, just when the whole vibe is right, you know, right? The leaves are falling, it's a little darker, it's a little colder, you got your sweaters on, right? But anyways, really, really enjoyed Talk to Me. Bravo to everybody involved in making this movie. Really, really good job. Can't wait to see what else comes from these twins. I'm excited to see. Maybe there's going to be a sequel. The ending was kind of ambiguous. But anyways, thanks so much for watching. As always, be on the lookout for new videos which come out every single Friday on the channel. But anyways, everybody, I'm Matt McFarland, and thanks for watching. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching my review of Talk to Me. If you have not already done so, make sure you subscribe to the channel and also turn on those notifications as well to be notified every single time I post a new video. All of my social media links will be down below in the description as well if you want to go and follow me over there. But anyways, everybody, I will talk to you in the next one.